Hi, Danielle. Nice timing. Good evening, everybody. For the record, it is 5:15 p.m. on Thursday, July 14th, 2022. Time for the regular meeting of the Wenatchee City Council. As always, we start with the pledge to our flag. I don't know whose turn it is. Do we have turns? Mark? Councilmember Kulas?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Kulas. For the record today, we have 5 council members with us. Councilmember Rojanastatian is still traveling, as is Councilmember Harold. So there's 5 of us here this evening. For those of us that City Council agendas are a little bit different now in that we have to accept public comment at the start of the meeting. So if there's anybody here who wishes to address the council that's not on today's agenda item, obviously we're going to have some folks giving us some presentations, which is, you don't need to come up yet, or any of the action items or anything that's not on today's agenda. If you'd like to come up and give us your name and address, and we'll give you 3 minutes. Anybody interested? Seeing no takers, we'll move on to our action items, or our consent items, which is our consent item is to approve this evening's agenda, vouchers, minutes from previous meetings, and adoption of resolution 2022-20, changing our meeting schedules for November and December. So I would entertain a motion.
And I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, vouchers, and minutes from previous meetings, and also to make a motion to approve the resolution number 2022-20, revising the regular meeting schedule for November and December of 2022.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Huffaker, second by Councilmember Hornby to adopt this evening's consent items, including this evening's agenda, our vouchers, minutes from our previous meetings, and to approve resolution number 2022-20, revising the regular meeting schedule for November and December of 2022. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we have 4 presentations this evening, and because I can do this, I'm going to change the order so we can, I know some are going to be longer than others. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the Parks and Rec proclamation first, and then we'll do the Special Olympic Volunteer Recognition second, the Wenatchee High School Interact Club and the CDLT recognition third, and then we'll hear from Velocity and the pool update. So Parks and Rec proclamation, Councilmember Hornby, would you read that into the record?
Proclamation of the City of Wenatchee, Washington. Whereas parks and recreation activities and experiences provide opportunities for people to live, grow, and develop into contributing members of the community, and whereas parks and recreation enrich lives, experiences of members of our community, and whereas parks and recreation agencies in the community provide outlets for physical activity, socialization, and stress reduction experiences, and whereas parks, playgrounds, trails, natural areas, and recreation and aquatics facilities make our city an attractive and desirable place to live, work, play, visit, which contributes to our economic vitality, and whereas parks and natural areas provide a welcome respite from our fast-paced, high-tech lifestyles while protecting and preserving our natural environment. And whereas parks and recreation activity agencies touch the lives of individuals, families, groups, and the entire community, which positively impacts the social and economic health and environmental quality of our city. Now therefore, I, Frank J. Kuntz, Mayor of the City of Wenatchee, do hereby proclaim July 2022 as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Wenatchee, and encourage all citizens to join me in participating and supporting the many recreational programs and facilities provided by both public and private agencies. I witness, therefore, that I have thereunto set my hand, cause the great seal of the City of Wenatchee to be affixed on the 14th of July, 2022. Frank J. Kuntz, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Hornby. All right, Parks and Rec staff, come on up. Everybody, even the maintenance folks. Get up here, Robbie. Hi, everyone. They got me here, didn't they? I'm going to hand this to you. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for all your great work. Thank you for getting Robbie to actually get out of his hole and come down and see us. How many years you been with us?
Too many.
38?
Something like that.
Long time. Yeah. Anyhow, thanks for all that you do. I actually went and saw some of the pool folks. Everything's going great. Thanks for getting the pool up and going. I appreciate all you guys do. It's amazing the amount of work in our parks and the maintenance and programming. And so, again, just congratulations and thanks and to David and the entire staff. Thank you very much. You want to say anything, David? No. I know, Rob, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm good.
You should?
Yeah.
All right. Are we getting our picture taken? Do we have a camera, Tim?
I don't know.
You're a professional. You got to take up for Tammy and get in here. It's going to be on Facebook in a minute.
All right. Perfect.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. All right, so the next presentation is regarding the Special Olympics volunteer recognition. So Carol, you want to do that?
Sure, I'd love to.
Come on up. I don't know if you want to sit or grab a mic, whatever you want to do.
I'll stand.
You might need a microphone, though.
I can talk really loud.
Okay.
I'm in Parks and Recreation. Okay.
Public can't hear.
There we go.
Okay, once in a blue moon, we have special volunteers that dedicate themselves for years and years and years. They're at our practices and events and competitions faithfully. They get on the bus with our athletes. They stay overnight. They keep track of everybody, all because they just enjoy it and love the program. And we have that person with us tonight. His name is Jim Haney. He's been volunteering for Special Olympics for the last 6 years since he retired. Faithfully, we always can count on Jim. We always know when somebody calls in sick, we always know Jim is going to be at practice. We just want to recognize him for his dedication to our program with a plaque that says that. Thank you for your volunteer service to the Special Olympics program with the City of Wenatchee. So Jim, please come up. Oh yeah, let's see that.
Look at the husky phone.
Can I get Mr. Mayor here?
Sure, I'll get in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gee, he's in charge or something.
Okay, let me get a couple.
Okay, and we have a little bit of City of Wenatchee swag for you to take with you. Yes, you can.
Thanks, Jim. All right, our next is regarding the Wenatchee High School Interact Club and Cheline Douglas Land Trust. Who's got that? Charlotte? Come on up.
Oh man, I was going to sit down. Okay. So today we're here to recognize the Wenatchee High School Interact Club. In case you don't know, it's the youth version of the Rotary Club, and their motto is service above self. And I could say that these kids really exemplify that. They are donating approximately $22,000 to our Kinsey's Landing project, which they have fundraised. And it's going towards some really great plant rehab work. And they have also spent a lot of hours with the Land Trust planting up in that Broadview area, replanting after the fires. And so we're incredibly grateful for the work that they have done. And I wanted them to come on up. We have John Magnus, who is their, what would you say? Advisor. Okay, sorry, I'm out of high school a long ways. I can't remember the terms. And then we have Angela Morris from the Land Trust. And then we have two students, if you want to come on up, Violet and Oscar.
Come on up, guys. Ladies.
Thank you.
How you doing? Good. How are you? Nice to see you again. Magnus, how are you, sir? Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for your great work and Kinsey's Landing. And we're super excited to get that trailhead up and going. And another addition, I was given I think from where I live now, I'm about a minute drive from 6 different trailheads if you live in the Western Foothills, right? Pretty remarkable asset that our community has. But you also have to take care of the asset. So I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing, fundraising to help us get these things paid for, and then taking care of the area. So thank you very much. Who wants to talk? When do you guys want to talk? Mr. Magnus, you're in charge.
It's been great. I just retired. So this is my last gig with Interact Club, and these kids are absolutely amazing. And I can just say this, that as we look toward the future, a lot of people see dark things, but when you work with young people like this, you know the future is bright. So I want to thank you. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I'm Violet Madsen, and I'm going to be a senior at Wenatchee High School. And this is my first year doing Interact, and it's been really fun. So.
I'm Oscar Laverne. I'm also going to be a senior, and this is my 3rd year doing Interact. It's been awesome.
We can't let you now speak.
All right. From the land trust point of view, so you know that the thing that we love to do the most is protect and conserve the natural lands and habitats in the area. And the way that we can do that the very best is to find partners who are enthusiastic and hardworking, and that certainly exemplifies these students, and we really appreciate all the work that they've put in, and they've been a fun partner for several years. So well done, guys.
Great. All right, picture. Be on Facebook in 30 All right, and our last presentation slash discussion will be a combination of our friends from Velocity Swimming and then Dave Erickson from our Parks Department. So the folks from Velocity wanted to come and say a few words, and I appreciated them wanting to do that, but we've also got some update on our swimming pool, which I'm pretty sure why Velocity is coming here to begin with. So I thought we would do the good and the bad all in one big discussion. So ladies, come on up, and then we'll hear from you, and then we'll have Dave come up, and I'm assuming you're going to maybe sit up here?
Oh, you want to do that?
Yeah, come up and sit down, and
That feels a little more natural.
yeah.
Okay. I will start off by saying that Violet's my daughter.
Oh, cool.
And she's also a Velocity swimmer. So,
Excellent.
or she has been. So my name is Rachel Madsen, and I'm currently the Vice President of Velocity Swimming. Our family has been a part of the Velocity Swim program for over 12 years. So my oldest, who's now 21 and is swimming in college, started when he was 9. And my youngest, who's now 16, started when he was 4 and is currently actually swimming in Oregon right now at a swim meet. Our kids have used the city pool as competitive swimmers, but they have also used it as a place to play and also work. The city has employed 3 of my 4 children as lifeguards, as swim instructors. My oldest even did boiler maintenance and filter cleaning. It's been a place where they've learned to be social with friends, competitive, and learn how to be an employee for the very first time. The city pool's been a part of our family culture, and we're really, really thankful to have a facility like this in Wenatchee. We've traveled literally all over the country, swimming in Texas, in Hawaii, in California, in Oregon, Utah, Washington, Idaho, everywhere. And we have learned that the 10-lane outdoor city pool is a very unique and special thing to have. If I'm correct, we are the only 10-lane outdoor Olympic-sized pool in the Pacific Northwest. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's correct. As very frequent and intimate users of the aging facility, we know the investment it will take to keep it operational. We are also very thankful. Mike Steele advocated for the city pool this past legislative season to help provide some resources to support the city in the maintenance of the pool liner. We would like to become partners with the city of Wenatchee Velocity Swimming and become an active member of whatever sort of planning and discussions go on to further maintain the pool, improve the pool, potentially build a regional aquatic program or center, We use the facility probably more than anyone. We host 2 very large meets, as you probably know, in June. Apple Capital, which has been going for over 40 years. This past summer, we had over 800 swimmers, and it is a huge economic revenue to Velocity Swimming's operational budget. It funds over half of our budget, but it also brings in a huge revenue stream to the Wenatchee Valley, bringing people from all over the region, the Seattle area, Spokane, Canada, and partially because of our weather, but also because of that unique facility that we have that they don't get to experience anywhere else. Let's see here, my phone and my notes just went away. We're a nonprofit program that depends significantly on the city pool to maintain our program because our largest revenue stream does come from the 2 meets that we host. And we've had a couple pretty big hits this year, not being able to host Starlight because of the boiler program for a problem. And then over COVID, we did have an entire summer where we weren't able to hold our 2 large swim meets. And so it does make us a little bit nervous as the pool is aging, and we would just really like to advocate for the support to keep it open. We do just really want to come here and say thank you for your swift action to get the boiler up and running this year. And so we are able to provide programs for Velocity, programs for kids in our community to have swim lessons, and job opportunities for our kids who were employed and ready to get started. And so thank you so much for moving as quickly as you did and finding a solution.
And my name is Deborah Herke, and I'm the past president of Velocity Swimming. In conjunction with what Rachel has already said, the city pool for Velocity has been an outstanding, mainstay for us, for our viability and as a team and as giving back to the community, which Rachel has mentioned as well. Velocity is wanting to give back more to the community. We've changed some things about how we operate the Apple Capital and Starlight meets in order, to do that. We want to do more. And again, as being an advocate for not only aquatics, other entities in this valley as well. We would love to work with you, the City Council, be a part of the City Council now and moving forward and well into the future. We would love to work with the YMCA, law enforcement, search and recovery, those efforts and supporting that as well. And most definitely Special Olympics. Mm-hmm. Thank you to the city and Special Olympics. My son has Fragile X syndrome and has been swimming with Velocity for the last 5 years now. He is the only adaptive swimmer that has swum at Eastmont High School. Without me falling apart here, it is that important to me that I have seen his benefits, his growth, and what that can do in combining our efforts with the city and the community. And Special Olympics alone is paramount. And I think also one that I think could really benefit the city, no doubt. Through us being an active voice and more of a presence, we think that we can also build through safety in swimming. We have a lot of rivers around here, and that is something that is really important to us as well. We have a lot of resources Velocity has in bringing in through USA Swimming that we can also share and bring about for the community as a whole in all demographics, and things that we can offer as far as swim lessons, swim safety, and CPR. We have most of our lifeguards in both the Eastmont Aquatic Center and here at the city pool have all been Velocity swimmers. And that is a huge boon for us and obviously for the city as well. As when it comes to Apple Capital and Starlight, that is our biggest moneymaker. For lack of a better word, that is where we get our support to pay our coaches and whatnot. That is what brings the draw in for all of the kids within the communities around here as well. In 2019, we saw probably one of our biggest years. We had over 922 athletes. That's strictly athletes. That doesn't mean families coming in and, eating at the restaurants and whatnot and staying at the hotels and or camping and that type of thing. It was a big, big year for us. And then, of course, everybody knows what happened in 2020. In 2020, COVID hit. We didn't shut down. We were probably the only sport in the city of Wenatchee and probably surrounding area that did not shut down. We were able to operate and keep the team going throughout the entire pandemic. We had safety. We went beyond safety measures. We had everything in place to make it safe as possible for all of the swimmers. We actually maintained an 85 attendance percent of our swimmers. No one left because that's how much they believe in our community and how much they believed in velocity swimming. And we want to continue that. And we think building on that and also with the CDC, having swimming be the lowest spreader of COVID, we want to be able to continue that and be able to offer some sort of, sport and or activity that these kids can learn not only safety, but also continue on throughout any sort of pandemic or any sort of issues like that that may arise in the future as well.
Well, thanks, ladies, for being here. And I think from the mayor's office and speaking for the council, we obviously the pool doesn't make us any money. It's an operational loser for us, and we are more than willing to do that. 99 years out of 100. But as you're going to hear from David in a minute, there is a significant capital call right now on the city because our bids came in $1 million higher than we anticipated. So I do want you to hear from Mr. Erickson about what he's asking of us to do, and then try to help us figure out what the right sort of answers are, because we thought we had this thing funded within a couple $100,000 of the goal line, and we were comfortable with that number. It's grown to over $1 million now, and that is starting to really, I think, stress our comfort level, for one, and two, I think, how do we get to a regional aquatic center that has a 50-meter pool in it and the 10 lanes and all the other stuff that goes with it? And how do we do that and maintain a 56-year-old swimming pool? Right? That is a juggling act that I think is not always easy. David, why don't you come up, sit next to the ladies, and give us all the good news?
I'm so excited.
Yes.
You don't have to read them.
Any memos?
I'm going to hit the highlights, but you can read the details later.
Or the low lights.
Okay.
Yeah, the low lights.
I like the low lights.
Thank you.
And just for the council and for the ladies here, I don't expect us to be making decisions tonight. This is more of an educational opportunity, not only for us to hear from you, but to us to hear from David. And I don't expect we'll be making decisions 2 weeks from today. So just square the field there. All right, David.
All right. I have to put on some cheaters, sorry.
Okay.
I'm showing my age as well. Okay, so the city pool, 640,000 gallon facility built in 1965. On average, we have about 25,000 people come through the facility every year. Over the years, the pool's been upgraded and with different improvements. The last time the pool liner was changed was 1996. So generally, those last 8 to 10 years on an outdoor pool facility for a plaster liner, ours lasted, 26 years, 27 years, whatever that is. So we brought the pool liner and plumbing project here to you guys before, so you've seen it a few times. In early 2020, we received approval from the City Council to apply for an RCO grant to help pay for some of the funding of the project, and that was a $350,000 grant through the state. That was successful, so we have that sitting there, and City Council accepted that grant earlier this year. Last week, we submitted a scope change request through the state for that grant, requesting an additional $350,000 for the project. It's not typical that they fund those, but sometimes they do if they have funds left in their grant accounts. So we actually got it in early enough that it'll be considered on August 3rd at the Recreation Conservation Funding Board meeting. And then we worked with Senator Hawkins this year and were successful in getting another $533,500 grant for the pool project through the Department of Commerce. So that one is pending City Council acceptance. You guys haven't accepted that one yet. So once the RCO grant was accepted earlier this year, we went out for a request for qualifications for engineering and selected an aquatic engineer to do the engineering of the pool project. And so over the last 6 months, they've prepared all the documents, put the project out to bid, and we only received one bid for the project after all that. We were expecting more. The aquatic engineers were expecting more. We did learn yesterday or the day before that one of the companies has gone out of business that we were expecting a bid from. Another company said that they were just too busy. They were booked out, that they wouldn't be able to do the project in our time frame. That bid that we did receive was pretty significantly over what we had anticipated for the budget. So our planning level budget for the project was $1.6 million. That was the staff estimate. The engineers came in and said that they were anticipating it would cost about $1.2 million. The one bid we received was almost $2.1 million for the project. A breakdown of that, so assuming we accept the Department of Commerce grant and we don't get any other money, based on the bid that we received, the state would then contribute $833,500 to the project, and we would be on the hook then for a little over $1.3 million currently. If the scope change is approved, then the state would be providing almost $1.2 million, and we'd have to then provide about $975,000 based on the current bid. So we have some decisions, some options for you guys to consider, and then I also have a staff sort of suggested steps after that. So I have 5 different options to look at. First one would be to reject the bid and then rebid it this fall. So since we only received the one bid and it was way over what we anticipated, then we would reject that bid at a future council meeting. Then this fall go out and rebid the project. No guarantee that we would get any better bids or that we would get more bids, but it's another opportunity to try to do that. If we get good bids, then we would either do the project next spring or the following fall. If we do it in the spring, it would pretty much take care of the season. It would just about wipe it out because this is about a 3 to 4 month long construction project. If we did it in the fall, we have to get a grant extension through the RCO because our grant expires in June. So there's a couple pros and cons. The next option would be, and these aren't in any order. Next option would be to award the bid. To say, okay, we're just going to come up with the $1.3 million, try to find some additional funding somewhere and award the bid. We would schedule this for the next council meeting. Now on the downside, to be able to hit this year's construction window, we would have had to award it tonight. I talked to the contractor. They said, if we award it on the 28th, they won't have enough time in the season before the weather turns to be able to get the plaster to cure and do all the things that it needs to do before the weather goes bad. So in reality, even if we awarded it at the end of July, we'd be looking at probably a next year, a spring or a fall construction. And then again, that assumes that you accept the $533,000 grant. Still leaves us at the city contribution at that point at about $1.3 million. Next option, option C, would be to wait and see what happens with the state on our scope change request. Wait until after August 3rd, see if they approve it, then come back. If they approve it to the amount that we request, then that drops down the city amount that would be required to $975,000. Then what I would do is accept the grant from the state, the 533 Department of Corrections grant on August 11th. There's going to be some additional scope change documents that we have to approve through the RCO to get that grant taken care of. And then we would still then be looking at construction next year. Another option, just reject the bid and just hope for the best. So we're just going to not do the project. We're going to hope that we can keep going, and then maybe a regional facility would come into play in a few years that could operate. So this would mean not accepting the Department of Corrections, Department, sorry, Department of.
We don't care who's giving us. the
Yeah,
money.
I'll take it from them too. Department of Commerce grant, the RCO grant, we would have to return back to them, which could negatively impact our funding status. And then, there's always the opportunity that the pool might not work. And then the fifth one would be to reject the bid and modify the scope. So we're pretty bare bones on the scope as it is. It's replacing the plaster and then changing out the piping system, the 57-year-old piping system that's underneath the pool itself. So if that pipe continues to fail and get thin, we have a big blowout, and we have a new liner in, we don't have to tear the new liner out to repair the pipes. So staff's opinion, that's not really a smart way to go. So those are the kind of the 5 different options. So I was anticipating that you might ask what staff's recommendation would be. So
What
there's
does
some
staff think we should do?
So hey, thanks for that question.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do would be to wait for the decision on the RCO grant. At this point, we're kind of beyond this season's construction, so
Right.
it's not going to hurt us to wait and find out what they do on August 3rd. We can watch that one virtually and find out what they're going to do. So that may get us some additional funding that way for the project. Then on August 11th at the council meeting, I would accept the $533,500 Department of Commerce grant. So that doesn't go away. We've already submitted our State Department of Health permits for the project, which is kind of a lengthy process. I would finish out that process so that way we have our construction permits in hand and are ready to go. We keep looking for additional funding support. So maybe that's lodging tax, maybe that's REIT. I know we haven't talked about that with finance or anything, but those are a couple of sources. We have approached Chelan County on 2 different grant programs. They chose not to fund us, and we've also approached Chelan County PUD, and they also declined to fund us on that. Then we would, at probably the August 11th council meeting, we would reject the current bid and then rebid the project in September. So by the end of the year, we would have a good idea what the actual bid number is going to be going into budget for next year. We would have a little bit of minimal cost involved in just re-advertising and updating the plans and stuff. It's pretty minimal though. And then we would also approach the state about getting a end date amendment on our grant or extension on our grant. So that way that would continue it through the fall. Assuming we get a good bid, then we would do construction at the end of next fall. We'd cross our fingers and hope for the best for next season then and continue to operate kind of like what we did this year.
How long is a couple questions. How long is the bid good for, or existing bid now? The 2.1.
Yeah, you want to make a decision on it soon.
So there's nothing when people bid, they don't say, okay, this is good for 60 days, 90 days. They don't say anything?
No, we have to evaluate the bids. So generally we try to turn them around within a council meeting or 2. So I would say, August is going to be the end for this.
But we also have a legal time for when we have to reject a bid. We have to actually reject the bid in a public meeting, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long does plastic and pipes last?
The
Plaster and pipes.
The plaster, so 8 to 10 years on the plaster for an outdoor pool under normal conditions is the average according to our consultant. The current pipes in the ground are 57 years old.
Right.
And just through the years of highly chlorinated water running through them, it's just eating it away. So they're paper thin. So
the idea is these plaster, I'm just curious how a pool works. Plaster, pipes, and then plaster goes away after 10 years, and you just, now I can just do plaster for maybe more times.
Yeah, and so the overall thought is that these improvements would last at least 10 years. And so this would buy us another 10 years minimum. I mean, our last one is 20 plus years on the liner.
Doesn't make any sense to do the liner and not repipe it. Because you got to repipe it so that your pipes are going to work, because you don't want to start tearing up the liner.
Yeah.
So I think this is the project, if we're going to stay in the pool business for the next 10 years, this is the project that we need to do. The issue is how do you pay for it? But this is the project that would give us the best chance. That and a new boiler, which we're going to get. Now all of a sudden we got something.
Boilers being fabricated and it's on its way.
Yeah, and insurance is paying for some of the boilers, so we're not out for all of it, but,
And this also then replaces the tile that's in the pool. So the tile the lane lines, the stripes on the bottom and the safety markings and things like that, they chip over time. These are kind of old antique tile. So we try to replace those as we can. So this replaces all of those. Nothing, no bells and whistles on this. It's pretty basic maintenance project, really.
so if we kick the can down the road, you're moderately comfortable that we'll get the RCO people will kick it over another year and we're going to be probably okay. So then our risk is, do the bids come in next year 2.5 million and not 2.2 million? Right? And that's something we don't know. We can't control what that would be. You would think that 2 bidders would be more competitive than 1 bidder, but it doesn't sound like we're going to get 3 bidders or 4 bidders. It doesn't sound like there's
the other
that many
bidder I
people in the
talked to.
business.
Oh, sorry. The other bidder I talked to was really interested in the project, and they just didn't have time. So the thought is, if we bid it this fall, do the project next fall, then we get on their calendar, and it would be a little bit more favorable bids potentially.
And one other question, just because of curiosity for me, and I think you told me the numbers. We keep track of where all the swimmers come from?
So I don't have them off the top of my head, but
57%?
57% come from outside of the city limits of the city, just in general use.
Okay.
Doesn't include the.
So we are supporting the regional pool,
Correct.
in essence, with no regional help.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, just
Yeah,
want
I'd
to
say-
make that political statement, yeah.
The bulk of them, say, of the swimmers that come, excluding the outside swim meets, the 2 big meets, 90% probably come from the Wenatchee, East Wenatchee urban area, or urban, Chelan County, Douglas County, East Wenatchee area. The other 10% are random visitors from Waterville, Chelan, Leavenworth, that type of thing.
So Dave, with the idea of kicking the can down the road again, it sounds like no matter what we do, we've kind of lost our window to get it done
This year.
Is sleeving some of the pipes an option like we did with downtown Wenatchee?
Yes, actually, that's part of the project. So we'd be they're too small under the pool to do that. So we're replacing those, but then we would sleeve it from the pool to the building, the mechanical room.
Okay.
So that we would sleeve, so we don't have to tear up the pool deck.
Okay.
So it's kind of a combination of the two.
Because that would buy us a little bit more time
Right.
while we wait for some more bids to come in maybe, or...
I didn't want us to have to tear up the pool deck after we did this nice liner, but then we have to blow up the deck and deal with the rest of the underground stuff, so, yeah.
And there's a chance, if we kick the can down the road, that we actually have a swimming season next year, right? Assuming that the pipes don't leak and we don't have anything major, there's a chance that we'll have another swimming season, which I'm assuming is important to the 2 ladies and the other folks in our community. So I sort of feel like kicking the can down the road might actually be the best solution, and just keep your fingers crossed that we get a bid that's reasonable. And I don't know how to get the community involved in trying to help with this, right? I think we have tried to go to our community partners, and I think we just have not been successful for whatever reason in trying to make that happen, which is why I think a regional aquatic center is the long-term best goal. But that doesn't fix our ability to swim next year, the year after, or quite frankly, for the next 4 or 5 years, to be honest with you.
I think a good approach would be that 57% of people that are using the pool outside of the city limits to call their appropriate representatives.
Yeah.
And I should throw out there, I haven't said this yet, but really have to thank Aaron, Alyssa, and the facilities crew who were
Glued that thing back together.
MacGyvering everything they possibly could to get that pool up and going, as well as just the regular routine stuff. And Sarah and our fabulous group of lifeguards, we've got a really great group up there this year to keep it operating every day, so. We'll have to mention.
So I said we weren't going to make any decisions today. Do you want to make the decision to kick the can down the road and follow staff's recommendation, or do you want to wait 2 weeks to make that decision?
I think we should move forward with a plan that makes the most sense, and that would, in my opinion, is to kick that can down the road. do what we can to shore up plumbing, see if we can get another season out of it, see if we can get more favorable bids.
Mark, any ideas?
I kind of think of Scotty, the engineer on the Enterprise, Star Trek. Captain, I'm giving it the best I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Could use some dilithium crystals for that now.
yeah.
Yeah. Michael?
I agree with Keith.
Yeah.
I mean, we missed the season, so this is the best we can do at this point that we can see.
Travis?
Yeah, I think staff recommendation is great.
I concur with
Okay.
Keith, yep.
So you'll bring us a rejection of the bids, you'll bring us whatever, try to get the RCO grant going.
Yep.
We'll hopefully get better bids, we'll go to bids in the fall. Still no guarantees that we're gonna
Except
throw another $1 million or $2 million or whatever it is at it, but I think we have a better chance. And I don't know where else we go for funding, to be honest with you. Ladies, I leave it up to you to sort of help us figure out where we go for regional support.
Well, and I think that does give us some time to actually go out there and find that 57% of the people who are out of our region that are using the pool and see what they can do to help us out.
Yeah.
I am
And perhaps a
curious.
discussion of a regional facility.
Yeah, so that regional facility discussion is just now going to get started. Senator Hawkins, myself, Mayor Crawford, and some others are going to start that conversation in the next week or two. He's got some suggestions on some sort of, maybe an aquatics district that we could maybe form get some legislation from the state that might look like the two school district boundaries, that might give us opportunity to go to a vote of the people, either on a sales tax or property tax, to get enough money together to not only build some sort of a regional aquatic center, and Dave has been great about sending out pictures of ones that have been built around the U.S. in the last 5 or 6 years. I don't know if the council has seen those, but also to operate it as well, because I think if you get an aquatic center, the kind of thing that we're talking about, operational costs are going to be significant, need to be taxpayer funded as well.
And yet some of that can be self-sustaining, like Moses Lakes.
Yep.
Moses Lakes draws more people into that city than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I think they do pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And one of the key things they do is every person that shows up, where are you from? What's your zip code?
Yeah.
And they want to see how many people are coming in from all those different areas.
All right, good luck. Thank you, ladies, for being here and sitting through our little discussion on pools.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our 20th,
Is that?
our 20th discussion.
Yes, I don't. The regional pool. All right, we have a number of action items this evening. The first is regarding closing our local improvement district guarantee fund. Mr. Posenjack.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brad Posenjack, Finance Director, bringing you a super exciting ordinance this evening. For decades, we've operated local improvement districts. These are LIDs. And just a couple months ago, we received our last assessment payment on our existing LIDs. And so we no longer have active local improvement districts. And we don't have any imminent plans to have new local improvement districts. And so part of having a local improvement district is that you're required to have what's called a guarantee fund. And this guarantee fund is because typically when you go out to borrow, or when you go out to do a LID, you borrow funds to make the improvements. And so the guarantee fund is there to back in case your assessed parcels aren't making their payments, so that you still have money to pay your bonds. We have no bonds, we have no local improvement districts, but we have this guarantee fund with a couple $100,000 in it. RCW allows council by ordinance to clear that out and to put that into the general fund. Most of it, I think there was some seed money 40 years ago, and then over time, we assess penalties or interest if the assessed parcels aren't making their payments timely. And we've actually had one that, the last one that made their payments, we got a lot of interest and late fees from. And so that has grown, and so I'm asking council to approve this ordinance and be able to close that out.
We have nothing in the future that you see to keep this in here?
There's speculation of LIDs for downtown in the future, but
We can always recreate.
pretty
You
easy
can
to-
always go recreate a fund and
Yeah.
populate it in the future. There's no reason to keep this one open.
And I believe like most bonds, when you go out to bond, you're required to take whether it's a portion of the bonds or some of your own funds and set them aside to have that guarantee on any bonds. And so I believe there is the option that if we did have another LID, we could either use some bond proceeds or we'd get it back. But I just don't like having funds with money sitting in them that we're not going to do anything with and we have no plans for.
You must be an accounting type guy. I'm going to make a motion for the city council to adopt ordinance number 2022-13, authorizing transfer of funds from the local improvement district guarantee fund to the general fund.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Poyer, second by Councilmember Hornby, to adopt ordinance 22-13, authorizing the transfer of funds from the local improvement district LID guarantee fund to the general fund. Any discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping up on that.
Glenn, adding someone to the planning commission.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I'm pleased to have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to appoint Anupama Vembar to the Planning Commission. She has an amazing educational and work history background, ranging from India, Cambridge, to a variety of places in the U.S., and she's very interested in serving her community. Planning Commission unanimously recommended that she be appointed, and would stand for any questions you might have.
Excellent. Super excited.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2022-21, appointing a voting representative to the Wenatchee Planning Commission to fill a term ending December 31, 2025, that being Anupama Vembar.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Huffaker, to adopt Resolution 2022-21, appointing Anupama Vembar to the Planning Commission for a term that expires December 31st, 2025. Any discussion?
Council District Number 5 finally gets a Planning Commission member in it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Mr. Parsons, River Academy, 10% petition. Thought we weren't doing any more annexations. That's what I heard on the radio. Was that you talking?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Matt Parsons, Senior Planner. I'm here to talk about the 10% petition that was submitted by the River Academy for a property they own on South Miller Street between Crawford and Gare. They're hoping to build a school, and they own one property in the city, and they need the other one to be annexed. So they're under the same jurisdiction for permitting purposes as well as to connect to sewer. We are recommending just the one parcel to be annexed, including the right-of-way along the northern street frontage. We did look into adding the parcel that's adjacent to 1539 South Miller Street. We don't have enough, there's not enough value in the River Academy's parcel to force them, and I was informed through the representative from the River Academy that they're not interested in annexation. And so in order to create a boundary that can put on a petition that can pass, we want to just have this one. And so we're leaving that right of way off on the southern portion so that in the future that parcel can be brought into the city.
If I could just briefly note, while the city is willing to partner with the county on a joint permitting process where we could take the lead, or even the county take the lead on an application, the school needs a conditional use permit. If the county isn't willing to do that, and so the only way that these folks can apply for and get a school facility done is if both parcels are in the city. So it puts them in a tough spot, and so that's another wrinkle to this application.
So if you do this, if this gets approved, then they don't have to deal with the county?
Correct, they would be solely
So-
permitting in the city, and then that allows them to move forward, but if
So they own
there's,
this parcel here, I'm guessing. They own the parcel next door, is that correct?
I think it's just the other one, it's not next door, I think it's just in the city, right?
Yeah, the one to the north.
Yeah.
Oh, the north.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
so
north.
so they're doing
Got
a
it.
development over both, right?
Got it.
And half is in the county, half is in the city.
Oh.
If the county would allow it to deal with the one in the city, but they won't, so now their only choice is to,
Yeah,
so if we reject it, then they're not building a school,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
thank you.
So there's a motion before you, covers what needs to be said for the, sets the terms for the petition. This is the first of 4 times that you'd see it under this new process. So staff recommends approval of the boundary.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve the annexation boundary as proposed by the staff in response to the 10% annexation petition for the property located in the unincorporated area on South Miller Street between Crawford Avenue and Gere Street, to require the adoption of the proposed zoning regulations as set forth in the comprehensive plan of the city as residential moderate, and to require the assumption of existing indebtedness of the city by the area to be annexed.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hornby, second by Councilmember Cuevas to approve the annexation boundary as proposed by staff in response to the 10% annexation petition for the property located in an unincorporated area on South Miller Street between Crawford Avenue and Gere Street, to require the adoption of the proposed zoning regulations as it is set forth in the comprehensive plan of the city as residential moderate, and to require the assumption of existing indebtedness of the city by the area to be annexed. Any discussion?
Just one question, just looking at that boundary just to the south of the Bailey residence, is that like a road access through there that, so I mean, it basically makes that house an island now.
Right. They told me that they were holding on to that. It has their irrigation lines running through it. That's why they wanted to hold on to that land. I don't know much beyond that.
Historically, this was probably an orchard, and that was the orchard owner's home.
Yeah,
At
it-
some
it-
point, they split.
Definitely
and-
an orchard.
And whoever retained the orchard retained that access and utility easement.
And quite frankly, the only way for this for that property to come into the city would be for the boundary review board to expand.
Or if the
But-
property owner agreed.
Yes, or the boundary review board can do it on their own volition if they choose to.
And we're basing the fact that the owner does not want to be in based on what River Academy told us, or have we talked to that homeowner?
It was just through the River Academy.
Which is enough for me. If the River
Okay,
Academy
I
talks
just-
to them and.
Again, I just hate the idea of islands because it just confuses services for that resident,
Yeah.
so.
It's sort of where we're at.
Yep, okay.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
thank you.
So,
Yeah. I just don't like
Yeah.
that.
you know, the whole thing with the county boundaries.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
All right, how are you?
Good, how are you?
You must be Kelsey.
I am.
So what's going on in Old Station?
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kelsey Grover. I'm the stormwater technician, and this evening I bring a motion for Council to approve the mayor's signature on a non-exclusive easement for the bicycle and pedestrian trail. The Chelan County PUD is planning to construct a pedestrian and bicycle trail along the north bank of the Wenatchee River, connecting their new facility on Old Station Road to the Apple Capitol Loop Trail in Confluence State Park. This trail will go right along the edge of the Old Station Stormwater Pond, which is owned by the city and maintained jointly with Chelan County and the Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority. The proposed use was approved by the county and the port on the condition that the trail will still allow maintenance and inspection access to staff and will not affect the capacity of the pond. The design also took into consideration public safety and security. Construction and maintenance of the trail will be completed by the Chelan County PUD, and the city
Stormwater Utility Fund 410 will continue maintenance of the stormwater pond. Per the terms of the easement, if the proposed trail is impacted by the future development of the Confluence Parkway, the city would then become responsible for the costs to relocate the trail. According to the Chelan County PUD, construction for the trail is anticipated to begin in 2023. So tonight we come to you with to ask for the council to approve the mayor's signature on the easement.
I'm a little confused by looking at the map. So we're going to basically attach their new headquarters to the trail system next to our stormwater pond.
Yes.
Okay. Thought that's what that was looking like, but.
And then if we do Confluence Parkway, then we are going to be on the hook to move this.
If it impacts.
If it impacts. If it impacts, I thought you said it does impact.
No, if it happens to, then yes.
Thank you.
Keyword there, happens.
Yes.
And just to add to that, we have had KPG take a look at the design. We don't anticipate that it will, but we threw that in there just in case.
Thank you.
And the part that we haven't really worked on, or I don't know if it's being worked on, is connecting this trail then underneath the highway and over to the Chatham Hill area, which I know is something that we've been interested in trying to figure out how to make that happen so folks don't have to get up to the Cashmere Valley Bank intersection to get across over into Chatham. But I don't know where that study is, or I think there was some preliminary work done quite a while ago on that. But
The last I remember, Mayor, is there was some preliminary work done, engineering done on feasibility. So that has been done and it is in a plan that says it's possible.
Okay.
So then it's just a matter of finding the money to make it happen.
Okay. For someone who's involved in trails around the valley. Thank you, Travis.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, any other questions for Kelsey? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the city council to authorize the mayor to sign the non-exclusive easement for bicycle and pedestrian trail.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Poyer, second by Councilmember Hornby, to authorize the mayor's signature on the non-exclusive easement for bicycle and pedestrian trail as shown in this evening's packet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kelsey. All right, Pinnacle Prep. Who's doing that one? Looks like Alyssa and others.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alyssa Schaefer, Facilities Manager for the Public Works Department. I'm joined here this evening with Sean Coaster with Pinnacles Prep Charter School. Last year, as you know, the city and Pinnacles Prep applied for and was awarded a $2.5 million Department of Commerce grant for the renovation and rehabilitation for the city of Wenatchee's Community Center, currently under lease by Pinnacles Prep. The improvements include the creation of additional instructional space, new campus entrance, and the construction of a commercial kitchen, cafeteria, and a makerspace lab. The scope of the work is being broke up into two phases, phase 1.5A and 1.5B. The 1.5A portion of the project, which includes the added instructional space and a new campus entrance, went to bid initially this past spring and received 0 bids. This was due to schedule and supply chain concerns. After revising the overall schedule, the project went out for bid again on June 9th, where 3 bids were received. Cascade Central Construction LLC was the lowest responsible bidder with a base bid of $2,138,334. It is a desire of Pinnacles Prep to accept additive alternate number 1, out of breath, to furnish the reception area, and that amount is for $11,918.50. If approved, the total contract price would be $2,150,252.50. The project contingency in phase 1.5B, the commercial kitchen, cafeteria, and makerspace lab, will be funded by Pinnacles Prep to satisfy the terms of the grant. You have anything you want to say?
No.
It is the recommendation that the city council approve the contract with Cascade Central Construction LLC and authorize the mayor's signature for city project number 2112, Pinnacles Prep Charter School Phase 1.5A.
So Sean, if it goes over the amount, what's going to happen?
So this is a city project.
Mhm.
If there was something that happened and a change order would be required, the city would have to approve it for that cost to be incurred. Pinnacles is committing to fund necessary contingencies for the construction project, and we attached to the communications in tonight's meeting a loan commitment in the contingency fund. I think it was about 10% of the construction bid amount. So that's our commitment, and we're kind of showing the evidence for that. But, we're working in partnership with the city. It is a city project, and you'd be in control of awarding those contingencies with our funds.
Sounds like we're getting everything we can out of the Commerce Grant, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. At least we got a bidder this time, which is better than, I told Alyssa they quit inviting me to bid openings. I went and nobody showed up. So I said, send somebody else next time. So, and for the motion, do you need us to include alternate one as part of it, or do we have enough information to, in terms of making sure we're clear?
We
of
have
what we're
enough
asking for?
information in the motion.
Okay. Any questions for Sean or Alyssa? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I motion for the city council to approve the contract with Cascade Central Construction LLC and authorize mayor signature for project number 2112 Pinnacle Prep Charter School Phase 1.5A.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hornby, second by Councilmember Cuevas, to approve the contract with Cascade Central Construction LLC and authorize the mayor's signature for city project number 2112, the Pinnacles Prep Charter School Phase 1.5A. Discussion?
Just a comment. It's a good feeling that you have this, if it goes over, cost overrides, it's just a good feeling. It just makes me feel proud of being part of the community Pinnacles Prep.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Good luck. Keep our fingers crossed.
Speaking on behalf of our students and families and board of directors and staff, we really appreciate the support of the city. And just as a brief update, we have one open seat for 8th grade. We have wait lists for 6th and 7th grade at our school, and we're very excited.
Super fun to go to
Excellent.
graduation. That was a hoot. Kids were having a blast.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Alyssa. All right, Jacob. I'm not saying we're saving the best for the last, but because I know you want money.
You're really setting the stage for me. I appreciate it.
He got beat up at finance today. I got to be nice to him today.
My good feeling is going down.
Yeah.
Jacob Heiler, Engineering Services Manager, here tonight to talk about the Walla Walla Avenue Stormwater Retrofit and Paving Project. So the existing stormwater swales on Walla Walla Avenue don't function overly well and are extremely difficult for our crews to maintain. The city has gone after Department of Ecology grants to help retrofit those swales. This grant program is kind of a two-phase program. So our first grant was awarded back in 2014, and that grant took some preliminary design, came up with a concept, and then what we do is we reapply for construction funding and some money to wrap up the design work. And that was applied for in 2019. So this project's been kind of in development for a while. What the stormwater retrofit will do is, like I said, remove those swales, install new catch basins, install infiltration trenches, with the goal of taking most of the soil or the silting that happens in those swales out of the stormwater, get cleaner stormwater in so it infiltrates better. That helps both the infiltration trenches that are out there now, the ones we'll be putting in, and it also has a benefit to that linden tree pond. So maintenance-wise, it's a huge win for us. From a pavement standpoint, obviously the pavement's in pretty rough shape out there, and so this project proposes repaving Walla Walla all the way from Miller to 9th. as well as repaving 9th from Walla Walla to Pierre. So in terms of, grand scale, it's about a 60% stormwater project and a 40% paving project. With that said, the city advertised the project in open bids last week on July 7th. We received 3 bids, with Pipkin Construction being the lowest bid at about $2.03 million. The bid was about 8.2% over the engineer's estimate, significantly more than that over our city budget. So our city budget for this project was approved as part of the 2022 budget process in fall of last year. And so the bidding climate's changed quite a bit since that point in time. If this project were to move forward, we would be asking for about $275,000 worth of stormwater money and an additional $430,000 worth of overlay funding. So if that increase is acceptable to the council, then staff requests a motion to award the contract to Pipkin Construction and amend the project budget. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
We discussed how the existing drainage swales would be refashioned. Can you go over that? What's it going to look like when it's done?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. So along Walla Walla now, there's a lot of several curb cuts throughout the corridor that allow stormwater to go along the gutter and then flow into those swales, with the goal being that the water sits in those swales, infiltrates, and then there's an overflow structure in most of those that allows the water to, once it builds up in those swales, get into our stormwater system and then out to the Linen Tree Pond and the river. So where we have problems is when there's enough silt that builds up in those swales, we don't have infiltration that occurs, then you see the ponding that happens out on the road. And so what this would do is get rid of all of those curb cuts. We would put in additional catch basins. And so it would function more like a traditional stormwater system where all the water flows into a catch basin. In those catch basins, we'll have pipes that are perforated pipes that go along where the trenches are now to infiltrate water that we infiltrate as much as we can into that area. And then the rest would then be piped out towards the outfall. So
So visually, they're still going to kind of exist, the separation between the curb and the sidewalk, or are we going to be able to close that?
So we'll be putting in permeable pavers in that location. So it'll look a lot like Riverside Drive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So-
No more quarry spalls.
No more quarry spalls.
And marginal vegetation.
Correct.
So at Finance Committee today, we had a pretty good discussion because if we approve this today out of the existing budget, that will take sort of all of the remaining portions of our overlay funds pretty much down to zero. Remember, we did a fairly significant add this year, and then, so there will be some discussion. I think that the consensus at Finance today was to approve it as is, then have Brad come back to us in a month or so and talk about putting the general fund contribution back into the street fund. But at the end of the day, as Rob always reminds us, we're spending about $1.5 million a year maintaining streets that need $4 million a year worth of maintenance, and we have not fixed that gap other than every so often we throw $1 million at it here and there, or $1 million into our overlay for this year, and now another $500,000 into this project. So we don't have a plan other than sort of throwing money at it when it's requested. And so, and I think we'll try to throw enough at it to get you through your 2023 project and maybe even some of 2024. But the long term is still not been handled.
We've had pretty good life out of Walla Walla when it's reconstruction, considering the volume of traffic on there, haven't we?
Yeah. And I think it would have
Yeah, a
lasted
long
longer
time
if not for the stormwater issues that are just beating the heck out of the road. Yeah. So, and this was on our plan to do anyhow, so I mean, it's just, we're just not funding that program as other programs get funded on a regular and continual basis. So with enough money, it does get funded regularly and continually, just not with what's needed.
So 2 questions. And the vegetation issue between the pavers, how are we going to prevent that? Because anytime there's a little gap in there, you can still got things that are going to grow out of there.
Right, and so we talked to our maintenance group about this. It will require spraying, much like we have along Worthen and Riverside Drive now. And so the work that goes into keeping weeds out of those areas will be the case on Walla Walla. What we won't have is the vegetation that's there now and the maintenance in the swales that would be required to help them function the way they're supposed to.
Your park maintenance crew are pretty excited to get rid of those swales.
Yeah.
They're so unsightly. And we've reworked them once before, and it's been a disaster.
Yeah.
So I guess the other question I'm wondering is if the overlay of the road could wait until we know that this is going to be successful, or does it have to be done now because we're going to be cutting up the road?
It's obviously more efficient to do it now. The project was bid such that it's all one package. There's always an opportunity to revise that via change order. And so if that was the will of the council, we can go that route.
Again, my reluctance with paving right now is just because of the price of oil. There is no worse time to pave than right now. That's my only concern about the paving portion of it.
If
Yeah, but
we don't pave soon, how many years we have, then we'd have to do a whole new road or whatever.
It's hard to say. It depends on how quickly the degradation of that road would happen. Obviously, fixing the stormwater issue would help, but the fact that it's in the shape it is currently means it's going to continue to degrade faster than, a road that doesn't have the alligatoring that's going on now.
Rob?
I can't resist. That road is on life support. And our street department is holding it together with cold patch of Band-Aids and duct tape right now. And if we try to go through one more winter, so we've been putting them off, saying we've got this project coming, we'll get it repaved. So earlier today, Jake Lewing was here. That road should have been overlaid, I think he said about 3 years ago, but we've delayed that. I mean, the
Knowing this project's coming.
Knowing that this project's coming. So the PCI has been declining over these last 3 years.
So what's the cost difference if you wait, if we don't? Is it going to be 3 more? So you're saying one winter. So let's just say it's 2 winters.
Yeah.
What's the cost
Well,
difference?
what Jake described earlier today is that we're at the tipping point that if we don't overlay it now, we're looking at a complete rebuild of the road, pulling everything out, new subgrade and rebuilding it. So
3 times as much, 4 times as much? I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Yes.
This is your guys'. You guys, I don't know anything about this. Yeah.
So,
But that bit of information makes all the difference in the world. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause like I said,
I agree.
I think their base is probably pretty good there, considering how the life that maybe that's the one thing that we did right.
And there are, sections of that road look pretty good. And then there are sections like, especially in front of kind of the town Toyota Center
Yeah, that stuff
or
looks pretty
Bluebird,
rough.
we'll be having to dig up most of the lane in order to get the base and section back in the right way.
Bite the bullet.
All right, any other questions for Jacob or Rob? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah, and I'll make a motion for the city council to award the construction contract for the Walla Walla Avenue Stormwater Retrofit City Project number 2008 to the lowest responsive bidder, that being Pipkin Construction, thank you, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract documents and for the city council to approve the project budget amendment.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Huffaker, second by Councilmember Kulas to award the construction contract for the Walla Walla Avenue Stormwater Retrofit City Project number 2008 to the lowest responsive bidder, that being Pipkin Construction, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract documents and for the city council to approve the project budget amendment. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, gentlemen.
We'll spend some money.
Laura, what's up?
What's up? Just want to remind folks that on July 27th, the Downtown Association is hosting the Possibilities Tour. So the Possibilities Tour is a tour that's open to anyone. It's free, and you can just come and meet everyone at 29 South Wenatchee at 3 o'clock that day. There's 9 stops to check out buildings that have vacancies that could be potentially for sale. Specifically, the city will be showing 3 buildings, the former fire station, the former police station, and here at City Hall, since we have some open space. and then a sneak peek of the downstairs remodel. So just remind everyone that that's, again, the 27th, starting at 3 o'clock. That's all I had on my list.
Okay. I will mention that Laura and I did meet with Mr. Widener and some of his team earlier this week. Obviously, we have a development agreement with them for our, the parking lot that we sold to them. They would like an extension. There's a 5-year agreement in there, and due to COVID, they'd like to extend it 2 years. So we're going to negotiate an extension, I think, with him. So something for you to think about. He's going to finish Sunny Slope, wants to start sometime next year, but there's a buyback provision in that document where we have the right to buy the property back from him, like this fall. And so I can't imagine why we would buy it back from him, because what we really want is just 226 units built. So fairly positive meeting. He's super excited about what's going on in the city of Wenatchee and the development and improvements that the city's doing and what's going on in the region. So we will probably present something to you in a couple of month or so when Steve Smith gets back from vacation. Can't really think of anything else that we did. The YMCA folks came in today to talk to Finance Committee. They've been at Public Works. So it sounds like there's a consensus to at least contribute money that we're already going to spend into their campaign fund. So we'll get something drafted from that end, I think, on behalf of the city in the next couple of weeks as well. I know Laura met with the PUD yesterday on a number of items. So things seem to be going well there. And you've, I don't know what you all heard about my discussion with the county commissioners, but these annexations that we're doing are extremely expensive for us to do, significant staff time. I told Glenn we would do this one only because, you know, the school would never get built if we didn't. But these little tiny annexations that are now, both of the ones we accepted a long time ago are being appealed. You know, you're looking at, I don't know if it's 60 or 80 hours of staff time, plus the money we spend to do the legal descriptions, city attorney time. I've been in 2 meetings at the Boundary Review Board. You do all of that so you can get $1,800 in property tax. I mean, at some point, when you look at cost benefit analysis, these things just don't make any sense. And so that process has become so cumbersome with the Boundary Review Board and all that's going into it that I told Bob Boogert that I think we're about done with these. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So you guys may have different feelings about it, and you'll have a chance to you know, voice those. But that was my point to him a week or so ago when I chatted with him. At some point, you got to protect our staff as well, right? And when the Boundary Review Board in other jurisdictions do a lot of this work and prepare the paperwork and the 14 pages of questionnaires, when they're asking our staff to do all of it, that puts a huge burden on us. So, council members, anything to add for the good of the order?
I had a Chelan Douglas Transportation Council meeting, and there's a lot of discussion on SR 28 from East Wenatchee to Rock Island.
Okay.
And they basically come out with 3 options. This is, you know, next 10 years or whatever it is. But it's interesting to see if you keep the speed limit lower at 40 or keep it at 60. 40 would be a 4-lane, and it's actually less fatalities that go in 60 with a 2-lane.
Yeah.
And I trying to get it grasp around that, but that's what it came out. And there's some other things that came out, like the city of Wenatchee has tons and tons of land to keep building, except they're talking about counting the mountains.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can't really count that
Yeah.
to work. So it's interesting how these reports come back. I also promised somebody in my district, I'd mention this, they were concerned about I believe the July 9th shooting, that there wasn't really any information that came out on a timely manner. I just explained that, you know, we're short officers due to what's happened the last month or two. And then also graffiti been, in my understanding is for graffiti, you report it to the non-emergency 911 numbers, what we're being instructed. So I just want to point that out. And then I didn't know the code but it's up to the homeowner in 48 hours or 24 hours? Does anybody know
There's a
that?
time frame to
To
clean
do
it up,
that.
yeah.
So I guess,
And we have some volunteers that are doing some
Do we
work in
have-
South
okay.
Wenatchee that are doing some.
I thought we had somebody, if somebody
Yeah.
needed help to do
There's,
it.
there's just been a ton of it lately.
Yep.
Between businesses and
So we've
fences.
got the
Yeah.
two different gangs that are going at it. And they're just, tagging
Another
each
one of
other's
these.
stuff. Yeah.
So that's what's going on in my district.
Jose, Travis, Keith, Mark, anything going on?
Let's see, we're tearing up the overlay we put on Castle Rock. I see, but these things happen.
Whereabouts at Castle Rock?
Lower, yeah, toward Miller.
Okay.
These things happen.
Yep. All right, so then I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. See you on the 28th. Thanks, everybody.